The strange lights appeared in the night sky over Seoul without warning. They hung there, bright against the dark, moving in ways that no human aircraft could. The next morning, the aliens sent their message to all of Earth. We come in peace. Lieutenant Jin Ho Park watched the news from the military base where he trained Special Forces soldiers. At 32 years old, Jin Ho was one of South Korea's best jungle warfare experts. He had spent years learning how to survive in the harshest places on Earth. "Lieutenant Park," said a voice behind him, "the general wants to see you now." Jin Ho followed the messenger through long hallways until he reached a room filled with high-ranking officers from many countries. In the center sat General Dae, his face serious. "Lieutenant Park, you have been chosen for a special task," General Dae said. "The aliens want to meet with Earth's military leaders. They have asked for experts in different types of warfare. You will represent our jungle forces." Jin Ho bowed slightly. "Yes, sir. When do I leave?" "Now. The meeting is in Bangkok. It's the closest major city to the densest jungles in Southeast Asia. The aliens seem very interested in our natural environments." The meeting place was a large hotel in Bangkok. Jin Ho sat with Colonel Suk Kim, his direct commander, as they waited for the aliens to arrive. Around them sat military leaders from many nations, all looking nervous. The doors opened. 3 tall, thin beings walked in. Their skin was pale blue, and they moved with strange grace. The one in front wore something like a uniform with many small lights on it. "I am Commander Tal of the Galactic Confederation," the alien said in perfect English. "We represent 17 advanced species who have joined together to explore the galaxy." Jin Ho studied the aliens carefully. Their eyes moved quickly, taking in everything. These were not just diplomats. They were soldiers examining potential enemies. Commander Tal smiled, showing teeth too white and too perfect. "Your planet is quite interesting. So much of it is still wild. Most advanced worlds have tamed their environments completely." An American general spoke up. "Earth's wilderness is one of our greatest treasures." The alien made a sound like quiet laughter. "Yes, I'm sure it seems impressive to you. Our ships flew over your jungles and deserts. Such primitive obstacles would not slow our forces for even a day." Jin Ho felt his face grow hot with anger, but he kept quiet. Colonel Suk touched his arm gently, warning him to stay calm. "Perhaps a demonstration would be educational," Commander Tal continued. "We propose a series of friendly competitions, military exercises to share knowledge between our cultures." "What kind of exercises?" asked Colonel Suk. "War games, in your most difficult environments. We are curious to see how your soldiers operate in the wilderness you seem so proud of." The room grew quiet. Jin Ho looked at the aliens and saw something in their eyes that bothered him. It was the look of a predator sizing up prey. Commander Tal spread his long, thin hands. "Of course, these would be completely safe exercises. We would use training weapons only." The meeting continued for hours. The aliens showed videos of their technology, ships that could fly through space, weapons that could cut through metal like paper, and suits that protected them from all weather. As everyone was leaving, Commander Tal approached Jin Ho. The alien was much taller up close. "You are very quiet, Lieutenant Park," the alien said. "I understand you are an expert in jungle warfare." Jin Ho nodded. "I am." "How interesting. On our worlds, we simply remove jungles when they are in our way." Jin Ho looked directly into the alien's eyes. "On Earth, the jungle often removes those who don't respect it." The alien's smile faded slightly. "We look forward to your lessons, Lieutenant." Commander Tal turned and walked away with his companions. Colonel Suk came to Jin Ho's side. "What do you think?" she asked quietly. Jin Ho watched the aliens leave. "I think they're not here to make friends. They're here to see how hard it would be to conquer us." Colonel Suk nodded slowly. "Then we should make sure they learn it would be very hard indeed." Outside the hotel, Rain began to fall heavily on the hot Bangkok streets. A storm was coming. 3 days after the first meeting, Jin-ho sat in a secret room under a military base near Bangkok. The walls were thick concrete, and special devices blocked all signals from entering or leaving. Around a large table sat military leaders from 12 countries. Colonel Suk stood at the front of the room, pointing to pictures of the alien ships on a screen. Our satellites have tracked their movements. They are scanning our jungles, deserts, and mountains. These are not the actions of friendly visitors. An American general raised his hand. Do we have proof they plan to attack? Colonel Suk nodded and pressed a button. A recording played. It was Commander Tal's voice speaking to someone on their ship. Earth will be simple to acquire. Their wilderness areas are perfect for our new colonies, once we remove the human problem. The room grew very quiet. Jin-ho felt his hands tighten into fists. How did we get this recording? Someone asked. We have our ways, Colonel Suk said. What matters is that we know their true plans. They want to test our strength before they attack. The door opened, and a messenger rushed in. The aliens have sent their official challenge. They want to begin the war games in 1 week. Jin-ho stood in the hot sun as the alien ship landed in a clearing at the edge of the Thai jungle. The air smelled of wet earth and growing things. Birds and monkeys had gone quiet at the strange sound of the ship. Commander Tal stepped out with 5 other aliens. They wore thin suits that seemed to shine in the sunlight. Behind Jin-ho stood Colonel Suk and several high-ranking officers from other countries. We are pleased you accepted our challenge, Commander Tal said. The terms are simple. Our team against yours. 5 days in your jungle. The team that captures the other's flag wins. Colonel Suk stepped forward. And where will these games take place? Commander Tal smiled. We have chosen this area. He pointed to a map showing a dense part of the jungle on the border between Thailand and Myanmar. Our research shows it is one of the most difficult terrains on your planet. Jin-ho knew this area well. It was indeed one of the harshest jungles on Earth. Dense trees, dangerous animals, steep hills, deep valleys, and heavy rains made it a nightmare for those who didn't know how to survive there. We accept, Colonel Suk said. And who will be on your team? Commander Tal introduced his soldiers. They were all tall and looked strong. Their leader was Lieutenant Krev, who had a scar across his blue face. And your team? The alien commander asked. Colonel Suk smiled. Lieutenant Park will lead our team. He will choose his own soldiers. Commander Tal looked at Jin-ho with something like amusement. This small human will lead? Interesting choice. Lieutenant Krev stepped closer to Jin-ho. Our research shows your Earth jungles are filled with simple dangers. Insects, snakes, rain, heat. Nothing that our technology cannot easily handle. Jin-ho said nothing, just watched the alien's confident face. You are very quiet, Lieutenant Park, Krev said. Are you afraid? Jin-ho finally spoke. The jungle teaches us to listen more than we speak. Those who talk too much often miss the sound of danger approaching. Krev laughed. We do not fear your plants and mud. Colonel Suk stepped between them. You will have 1 week to prepare. Then the games begin. As the aliens returned to their ship, Jin-ho turned to Colonel Suk. I need to build my team immediately. You already have permission to take anyone you need, she said. Who do you want? Jin-ho thought for a moment. I need the best jungle fighters on Earth. People who can move like ghosts through the trees. People who can turn the jungle itself into a weapon. Do you have specific names in mind? Jin-ho nodded. Yes, and we should call ourselves the Ghost Tigers. Because that's what we'll be. Silent, deadly, and impossible to find until it's too late. Colonel Suk looked at the alien ship as it rose into the air. They think this is just a game. Then they have already made their first mistake, Jin-ho said quietly. In the jungle, there are no games, only survival or death. The military base at the edge of the jungle buzzed with activity. Jinho stood in a large room, looking at files of soldiers from around the world. He had 3 days to build the perfect team. "I found someone for explosives," Colonel Suk said, walking in with a tablet. She showed Jinho a picture of a man with short black hair and serious eyes. "This is Ta Li, South Korean Special Forces. He can make a bomb from almost anything in the jungle." Jinho nodded. "Good. We need him." By evening, Jinho had chosen 4 more team members. Sun Mai Choi was a communications expert who could send messages using the smallest equipment. Ji-won Kang was a medic who knew how to use jungle plants as medicine. Han Ju was the best sniper in Asia, able to hit targets through dense trees. And Da Kim was a tracker who could follow any trail, even in heavy rain. The next morning, the team gathered for the first time. They stood in a line as Jinho walked in front of them. "You are now the Ghost Tigers," he said. "In 5 days, we face an enemy with technology far beyond ours. They think their machines make them better than us. They are wrong." He pointed to the jungle behind them. "That is our weapon. We know it. We respect it. They don't. That will be their downfall." "What's the plan, sir?" asked Ta. Jinho smiled. "First, we become one with the jungle. Then we teach the aliens why Earth has never been conquered." For the next 3 days, the Ghost Tigers trained harder than ever before. They slept only 2 hours each night. They ate only what they could find in the jungle. They'd move through the trees like shadows, learning to communicate without words. On the second day, Lieutenant Krev arrived to observe their training. The alien wore a thin suit that seemed to cool him in the hot jungle air. "Impressive," Krev said, watching Jinho's team set traps. "But very primitive. Our team has suits that can see in the dark, weapons that never miss, and shields that stop any attack." Jinho looked up from the ground where he was showing his team how to make a hidden pit trap. "Technology fails. The jungle never does." Krev laughed. "You'll see our powers soon enough." After the alien left, Sun Mai approached Jinho. "Sir, I've been studying their communications. Their systems use a frequency that might be affected by the iron in certain jungle plants." Jinho raised an eyebrow. "Can you use that?" Sun Mi nodded. "If I can get close enough to their equipment, yes." "Good work," Jinho said. He gathered the team. "Everyone, share what you've learned today." Ta showed how he had made small explosives from tree sap and certain minerals found in the soil. Ji-won had discovered a plant that could temporarily blind someone if thrown in their eyes. Han had practiced shooting through layers of leaves without revealing his position. Dad demonstrated how to walk without leaving tracks. That night, as they sat around a small, hidden fire, Jinho felt both pride and worry. His team was strong, but the aliens had technology beyond imagination. "What are you thinking, sir?" Ji-won asked. "I'm thinking about home," Jinho said. "About the mountains where my grandmother lived. When I was young, a terrible storm came. Modern houses with all their technology were destroyed, but my grandmother's traditional house, built with knowledge passed down for hundreds of years, survived." He looked at each member of his team. "The aliens think new is always better. They're wrong. Our ancient knowledge of Earth will defeat their new technology." On the final training day, Colonel Suk visited them. She watched as the Ghost Tigers moved through the jungle in perfect silence, appearing and disappearing like mist. "They're ready," Jinho told her. "The aliens are confident," Colonel Suk said. "They've been telling everyone how easily they'll win." Jinho nodded. "Good. Pride comes before the fall." As the sun set, Jinho gathered his team one last time before the challenge would begin. "Tomorrow, we fight for Earth. Remember, in the jungle, we are not the prey. We are the predators." The Ghost Tigers nodded, their faces painted with mud and plant dyes, their eyes shining with determination. They were ready. Dawn broke over the jungle with a heavy mist hanging between the trees. Both teams stood at the edge of the contest area. The alien team wore shining suits and carried strange weapons that hummed with power. The ghost tigers wore simple clothes colored with mud and plant dyes. They carried basic weapons and small packs. Commander Tal stood between the teams with Colonel Sook. "The rules are simple," Tal said. "Each team has a flag to protect. Capture the other team's flag to win. No deadly force is allowed." Jinho studied the alien team. There were 6 of them, led by Lieutenant Krev. They looked confident, almost bored, as if this was just a small task before lunch. Colonel Sook handed Jinho a small device. "This will signal us if there's real trouble," she whispered. "Be careful. We don't fully trust them." A horn sounded, and the challenge began. The alien team moved into the jungle at a quick pace, their boots crushing plants and making noise. Jinho waited, watching them. "Aren't we going to move?" Tai asked. Jinho nodded. "Now we become ghosts." He made a hand signal, and the team split into pairs. They moved into the trees in different directions, silent as shadows. Jinho and Sun Mai went east, staying low and moving slowly. They left no tracks, broke no branches, and made no sound. Within minutes, the jungle had swallowed them completely. By midday, the alien team was struggling. The heat was intense, and the air was so wet it felt like swimming. Their suits, designed for the cold of space, began to overheat. "This environment is worse than expected," Lieutenant Krev said, wiping sweat from his blue face. "But our sensors will find the humans soon." Just then, one of his soldiers called out. The alien was standing near a tree, looking confused. "Commander, our sensors are wrong. They show life forms everywhere, but I can't see any humans." Krev frowned. "The jungle life is confusing our equipment. Switch to heat sensors only." The aliens adjusted their gear and continued forward. None of them noticed the small figure watching from high in a tree. Han, the sniper, used hand signals to communicate with Da, who was hidden in bushes nearby. The message was clear. The aliens were heading straight for one of their traps. Jinho and Sun Mai reached a small stream. "Their base should be 2 kilometers that way," Sun Mai whispered, pointing north. "But be careful. They've set sensors around it." Jinho nodded and touched his ear, where a small communication device was hidden. "Ghost tigers, report," he said very softly. One by one, his team reported their positions. Tai and Ji-1 were closing in on the alien base from the west. Han and Dai were following the alien team, who were heading in the wrong direction. "They're struggling," Dai's voice came through. "Their equipment is failing in the humidity. They keep stopping to fix it." Jinho smiled. "Good. Spring the trap when they're in position. Sun Mai and I will continue to their base." As they moved forward, the sky grew dark. Rain was coming. Jinho touched Sun Mai's shoulder and pointed up. She nodded, understanding his plan. They would use the rain as cover. Lieutenant Krev was angry. His team had been walking for hours, and they had found nothing. No tracks, no signs, no humans. The jungle seemed to fight them at every step. Insects flew into their faces. Vines caught their feet. Mud sucked at their boots. "This is pointless," one of his soldiers said. "The humans must be hiding like animals." "They're primitive, but not stupid," Krev replied. "Stay alert." Suddenly, the sky opened up. Rain poured down, heavy and loud, drowning out all other sounds. The alien sensors went completely blind. "Form a circle," Krev ordered, back to back. The aliens moved together, facing outward, weapons ready. The rain was so thick they could barely see a few meters ahead. That's when the first trap was sprung. The ground beneath 2 aliens gave way, and they fell into a deep pit lined with sticky mud that held them fast. "Ambush," Krev shouted, but his voice was lost in the storm. A flash of movement caught his eye. For just a second, he thought he saw a face painted in green and black, watching him from the trees. Then it was gone. For the first time, Lieutenant Krev felt something new: fear. The rain continued to pour as Jin-Ho and Sun-Mai reached the edge of the alien base. It was a small clearing where the aliens had set up a dome-shaped shelter. Their flag, a blue banner with strange symbols, stood in the center. "Their security system is still active," Sun-Mai whispered, looking at a small device in her hand. "But the rain is interfering with it." Jin-Ho nodded. He pointed to a large tree with branches hanging over the dome. Sun-Mai understood. They would use the tree to get past the sensors. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Krev and his remaining team were trying to free their two comrades from the mud pit. The aliens' fancy boots stuck in the mud, and their equipment grew heavier with each passing minute as it soaked up water. "This planet is difficult," one alien soldier said, struggling to breathe in the thick, wet air. Krev's anger grew. The humans knew this would happen. "They're using the jungle against us." A small sound made Krev turn quickly. He caught a glimpse of movement in the trees. "There!" he shouted, firing his weapon. A burst of blue light hit the trees, but hit nothing else. From a different direction came a soft whistle. The aliens turned again, confused and growing more afraid. Hidden in the dense foliage, Han smiled as he moved to a new position. His job was to keep the aliens distracted while Tai and Ji-1 set more traps around them. Back at the alien base, Jin-Ho and Sun-Mai had climbed the big tree. They moved carefully along a branch that hung over the dome. Below them, they could see an alien guard watching the surrounding jungle, but not looking up. Sun-Mai took out a small bag of leaves and berries that Ji-1 had prepared. She crushed them in her hand and let the juice drip onto the dome's surface. Where the liquid touched, the dome's material began to cloud and weaken. Jin-Ho pulled out a small knife and cut a hole in the weakened spot. He slipped inside with Sun-Mai following. Inside the dome, it was dry and warm. Jin-Ho could see the blue flag just a few meters away. Too easy, he thought. Something was wrong. Sun-Mai tapped his shoulder and pointed to the ground. Thin lines of light crisscrossed the floor. An alarm system. Jin-Ho smiled and pointed up. The aliens had protected the floor, but not the support beams running along the ceiling. They would cross using the beams. In another part of the jungle, Tai and Ji-1 worked quickly to build a special trap. Tai mixed certain plants with mud to create a thick paste. "This will stick to their suits and block their sensors," he explained to Ji-1. "Their technology depends on being clean and dry. The jungle is neither." Ji-1 nodded as she strung vines across the path. "The aliens think like machines. We think like the jungle. Adapting, flowing, surprising." Their trap was simple but clever. When triggered, it would shower the aliens with the sticky paste and tangle them in vines. Lieutenant Krev was growing desperate. His team was now down to 4, with 2 stuck in the mud pit. Their communications with the base weren't working, and their sensors showed confusing signals everywhere. "We need to return to base," one soldier said. "This environment is too hostile." "No," Krev shouted. "We cannot lose to these primitives." Just then, a soft voice came from somewhere in the trees. "The jungle is not your enemy, Lieutenant. Your pride is." Krev spun around, trying to find the source. "Show yourself, human." Day's voice came again, from a different direction. "We have lived with the jungle for thousands of years. We don't fight it. We become part of it." Furious, Krev fired his weapon wildly into the trees. His soldiers did the same, shooting at shadows and sounds. None of them noticed the small device Dai had left on a nearby tree. It was sending their location to all the ghost tigers. Inside the alien dome, Jin-Ho and Sun-Mai had reached the flag. As Jin-Ho reached for it, Sun-Mai grabbed his arm. "Wait," she whispered. "Look." The flag itself was protected by a field of energy. If they touched it, an alarm would sound. Jin-Ho thought for a moment. then pulled out a small bag of water from the jungle stream. He poured it carefully on the device, creating the energy field. The water, full of jungle minerals, caused the device to spark and fail. Sun Le smiled as Jin Ho took the flag. "The first round goes to Earth," she said quietly. Outside, the rain continued to fall, hiding the sounds of their escape. The alarm sounded throughout the jungle. The alien flag was gone. Lieutenant Krev received the message through his failing communication system and roared with anger. "Impossible," he shouted, hitting a tree with his fist. "How could they take our flag so quickly?" Back at the human base, Colonel Suk watched as Jin Ho and Sun Mai returned with the alien flag. The other ghost tigers arrived soon after. They all looked tired but proud. "Well done," Colonel Suk said. "But I have bad news. Commander Tal is not happy about losing. He is called for reinforcements." Jin Ho frowned. "That wasn't part of the agreement." Colonel Suk nodded. "I know. They claim it's just to even the odds since their team wasn't prepared for Earth's jungle. But our satellites have detected a much larger ship entering Earth's atmosphere." The ghost tigers looked at each other with concern. This was no longer just a game. 3 hours later, a large alien ship landed in a clearing near the contest area. Commander Tal stepped out, followed by 20 more alien soldiers. They carried heavy equipment and strange machines. "What is this?" Colonel Suk demanded, meeting them at the clearing. Commander Tal smiled coldly. "Just some tools to make the environment more fair. Your jungle gives your team too much advantage." Changing the environment wasn't part of the rules, Colonel Suk argued. "Rules change," Commander Tal replied, "just as environments can change." The aliens began setting up machines around the jungle. Jin Ho watched from a hidden spot as they activated the devices. A low hum filled the air, and the trees near the machines began to wilt. "They're trying to kill the jungle," Jin Ho said when he returned to his team. "They're using some kind of terraforming technology." "Can they destroy the whole jungle?" Ja-1 asked, worried. "Not quickly," Jin Ho said, "but they can clear enough to make their technology work better. We need to stop them." Tai studied a small piece of alien equipment he had found earlier. "I think I can use their own technology against them. These devices all connect to the same system. If we can capture one of the main units, I might be able to reverse it." Jin Ho nodded. "Then that's our new mission. Forget the flag game. We need to protect our jungle." Lieutenant Krev led a group of fresh alien troops through an area where the trees were already starting to die. Their sensors were working better here, and they moved with new confidence. "The humans have no chance now," Krev told his soldiers. "Our terraforming will turn this wild mess into a proper battlefield." What Krev didn't realize was that the dying jungle was fighting back in its own way. As trees dropped their leaves and plants released their seeds, the air filled with particles that still confused the alien sensors. Animals flooded from the dying zones, creating movement that the aliens couldn't explain. And the ghost tigers were adapting. Han had found a new position on a hill overlooking the alien operation. Through his scope, he could see the main terraforming machine. It was heavily guarded, but there was a pattern to the guards' movements. "I can see a way in," he reported to Jin Ho. "But we'll need a distraction." Jin Ho thought for a moment. "The jungle is giving us one. The animals are running from the dying zones. If we can direct their panic toward the alien camp, it might create enough chaos." "Da," the tracker smiled. "I know just how to do that." As night fell, the aliens continued their work. The terraforming had cleared about 1 square kilometer of jungle, and they were expanding outward. Commander Tal stood at the edge of the cleared zone, looking pleased. "Soon this whole area will be suitable for our kind," he said to Lieutenant Krev. "And then the humans will have nowhere to hide." Suddenly, a loud sound like thunder rolled through the jungle. The ground seemed to shake. "What is that?" Commander Tal asked, suddenly alarmed. Lieutenant Krev didn't have time to answer. From the darkness of the jungle came a wave of animals. Wild pigs, deer, monkeys, and birds, all fleeing in terror directly toward the alien camp. Behind them, moving like shadows between the trees, came the ghost tigers. The real battle for Earth's jungle had begun. Chaos erupted in the alien camp. The flood of frightened animals broke through their lines, knocking over equipment and sending soldiers running for safety. Commander Tal shouted orders, trying to regain control. In the confusion, Jin Ho and Ta slipped past the guards. They moved toward the main terraforming machine, staying low and using the shadows. The machine was huge, with pulsing lights and a deep humming sound. "Cover me," Ta whispered. He pulled tools from his pack and began working on a panel at the back of the machine. Jin Ho stood guard, watching for aliens. Through his earpiece, he could hear updates from his team. Sun Mai and Ji-1 were creating more distractions on the far side of the camp. Han was in position on the hill, picking off the aliens' smaller devices with careful shots. Day was leading more animals toward the camp from a different direction. "Hurry," Jin Ho said to Ta. "They'll get organized soon." Ta nodded, his fingers moving quickly over the alien technology. "Almost there. This machine is connected to their main ship. I can see data flowing back and forth." Jin Ho looked surprised. "What kind of data?" "Information about Earth. Soil samples, air quality, population centers." Ta looked up, his face serious. "Jin Ho, this isn't a game. They're planning a full invasion. They're testing how quickly they can change our environment to suit their needs." Jin Ho's heart raced. He touched his communication device. "Colonel Suk, are you hearing this?" "Yes," came the reply. "Get proof if you can. We need to show the world leaders." Ta worked for another minute, then pulled a small device from the machine. "I've got it. They're invasion plans. And I've also reprogrammed the terraformer." "What will it do?" Jin Ho asked. Ta smiled. "Heal the jungle instead of killing it." Just then, a blue light flashed over them. Lieutenant Krev stood 20 meters away, his weapon pointed at them. "Step away from the machine," Krev ordered. Jin Ho moved slowly, placing himself between Krev and Ta. "You lied about the contest. This was never a game." Krev laughed. "Of course not. Did you really think we traveled across the galaxy to play games? Earth is just another world for us to take. Your jungle will be gone, replaced with our cities." "Why?" Jin Ho asked, trying to keep Krev talking while Tai finished his work. "There must be many planets without intelligent life." "Empty planets are boring," Krev said. "We like the challenge of taking worlds from species like yours. Though I must admit, your jungle fighters have been more trouble than we expected." Krev moved closer, his weapon still aimed at Jin Ho. "We've conquered 27 worlds already. All had defenders like you. All fell eventually." Jin Ho noticed something interesting. As Krev talked, plants behind him were starting to grow faster. Vines were slowly moving up the alien's legs, but he didn't notice. "Your mistake," Jin Ho said, "was thinking that Earth's wilderness is just plants and animals. But our jungle is alive in ways you don't understand." Krev laughed again. "Primitive superstition." "No," Jin Ho said, nodding at Krev's feet. "Simple fact." Krev looked down and shouted in surprise. Vines had wrapped around his legs and were growing up his body. He fired his weapon, but the shot went wild as he lost his balance. "Now," Jin Ho yelled. Tai pressed a final button on the machine. It pulsed with green light instead of blue. A wave of energy spread outward, and everywhere it touched, the jungle began to grow with amazing speed. Trees straightened, leaves unfurled, flowers bloomed. All around the alien camp, the same thing was happening. The terraforming technology was now working for Earth, not against it. Jin Ho helped tie up. "We need to get to Colonel Suk with the information. The world needs to know what's really happening." As they ran through the rapidly growing jungle, they could hear Commander Tal shouting to his forces, "Retreat, back to the ships." The true nature of the alien visit was revealed. Now Earth had to prepare for a real war. Dark clouds gathered over the jungle as Jin Ho and his team regrouped at their hidden base. Colonel Suk arrived with military leaders from several countries. They all looked at the data Ta had stolen from the alien machine. "This confirms our worst fears," Colonel Suk said. "The aliens planned to invade Earth within 3 months. They were testing how quickly they could change our environment to suit them. But we stopped them," Sun Mai said. Colonel Suk shook her head. "We only delayed them. Our satellites show their main ship is preparing to leave Earth's orbit. They will return with a larger force." Jin Ho studied the map on the table. "Then we need to strike now, while they're still here. We need to capture Commander Tal. He has the invasion plans and knows their weaknesses." "That's too dangerous," one of the generals said. "Their technology is still superior to ours." Jin Ho looked at his team. "But they don't understand our jungle. And now, thanks to Ta, parts of the jungle are growing faster and stronger than ever before." Thunder rumbled overhead. The air felt heavy with coming rain. "A storm is coming," Dai said, looking at the sky. "A big one." Jin Ho smiled. "Perfect." Commander Tal stood at the entrance of his ship, watching his soldiers load equipment. The jungle mission had been a disaster. Lieutenant Krev had been rescued from the vines, but was still shaken. "We underestimated them," Krev admitted. "Their connection to this environment is unusual." "It doesn't matter," Commander Tal said. "When we return, we will simply destroy this jungle from orbit. No trees can stand against our plasma weapons." A soldier approached. "Sir, our sensors detect a major storm approaching. We should leave before it hits." Tal waved him away. "A little rain won't harm our ship. Continue loading. I want to be gone within 2 hours." As the soldier walked away, fat drops of rain began to fall. The sky turned dark as night, though it was only afternoon. The wind picked up, bending the trees. "This looks worse than a normal storm," Krebs said, sounding worried. Commander Tal frowned. "Fine, speed up the loading. We'll." His words were cut off by a massive lightning strike that hit the ship's main antenna. Sparks flew, and the lights on the ship flickered. "We've lost communications," a soldier shouted. Commander Tal growled in anger. "Get it fixed, and post more guards. I don't trust this timing." Hidden in the wild jungle just beyond the cleared area, the ghost tigers prepared. The storm gave them perfect cover. Rain poured down in sheets, and wind howled through the trees. Lightning flashed every few seconds. "The aliens hate this weather," Jin Ho told his team. "Their suits malfunction in extreme wet conditions. Their sensors can't see through this rain, but we can move in it just fine." "What's the plan?" Han asked, checking his rifle. Jin Ho pointed to a diagram Tai had drawn of the alien ship. "We need to capture Commander Tal. He'll be here, in the command center. Tai and I will go for him. Sun Lei and Ji1 will disable their backup power. Han will cover us from that ridge. Dad will create a path for our escape." "They have at least 30 soldiers," Ji1 said. "Yes, but they're blind in this storm. We aren't." Jin Ho looked at each member of his team. "Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves now. We're fighting for Earth." They put their hands together, and Jin Ho spoke the team's motto. "As quiet as shadows, as fierce as tigers." Commander Tal paced in his ship as the storm grew worse. Systems were failing throughout the vessel. Soldiers reported strange noises outside, but when they looked, they saw nothing but rain and darkness. "This planet is cursed," Krebs said, jumping at another crash of thunder. "Don't be superstitious," Tal snapped. "It's just weather." Suddenly, the ship's lights went out completely. Emergency lighting came on, casting red shadows everywhere. "What happened?" Tal demanded. Before anyone could answer, something hit the ship's hull with a loud bang. Then another, and another. "We're under attack," Krebs shouted. Commander Tal reached for his weapon. Impossible. They couldn't get past our guards in this storm. The last thing Commander Tal saw before the power failed completely was a face at the window. A human face painted in green and black, smiling at him through the rain.